Hello, I'm Alexander of Ayr, and I'll be sharing some information about a great Andalusian mind. For this installment, I'll be talking about the 12th century scholar John of Seville. John of Seville, also called Johannes Hispalianus, worked as a translator in the Al-Andalusian world from roughly 1133 through 1153. He was one of the main translators from Arabic to Castilian during the early days of the Toledo School of Translators. John of Seville worked translating Arabic and Greek, astrological, philosophical, medical, and mathematical works. He even had several original works that he made in Latin. John was a native of Toledo, although it's not entirely clear when he was born. We know he was born and raised in the Jewish faith. However, we know he only took the name John when he was baptized and converted to Christianity. That being said, it's unclear what name he used before he was baptized. Some speculate that his name may have been David because there are some accounts that refer to him as John David Telecanus. Further confusing this matter is that John of Seville may have gone by multiple names throughout his career. For this reason, some historians think that some of the works credited to him might have actually been different people. Making his credited accomplishments particularly impressive is that while many translations at the time focused on translating from Arabic into Spanish vernacular, John of Seville was capable of translating from Arabic directly into Latin. Topics of his translated works were mainly astronomical and astrological. However, he also had works dealing with philosophy, mathematics, and medical works, which is honestly really impressive for me in terms of its breadth, because translating is not just matching up words like on a decoder ring. Translating requires understanding the subject matter well enough, as well as the original language, that you can preserve and convey the intended meaning in the new language to the new audience, which means John of Seville not only had to have an in-depth understanding of Spanish vernacular, Latin, Arabic, and Greek, but also would have had to have had at least a working knowledge of astronomy, astrology, some philosophical schools, mathematics, and medicine. John of Seville did a lot of translating in the fields of astronomy and astrology. Specifically, in 1135, John of Seville translated the Book of the Elements of the Science of Astronomy, retitling it The Rudiments of Astronomy. He also translated into Latin the Book of Birth around 1153. John also translated The Composition and Unity of the Astrolabe, which was a fundamental book which explained the construction and utilization of astrolabes for the Christian world. He completed several more translations during his 20-year career beyond the ones already mentioned, including translations of a manuscript now in the Library of St. Mark's in Venice. In terms of his medical and philosophical works, John of Seville translated 3 different texts that mixed medicine with alchemy, including a work about gout that was given to Pope Gregory. Another of these works was a translation entitled The Difference Between the Spirit and the Soul. On the note of alchemy, John of Seville also translated an Arabic text called The Emerald Tablet, which was a book that contained alchemical secrets. So I guess we can add wizard onto John of Seville's resume and move on. In terms of philosophy and mathematics, John of Seville translated a book of algorithms on practical arithmetic, and he made available to the Christian world, possibly for the first time, descriptions of Indian positional notation. John of Seville also worked in collaboration with multiple people to translate a commentary on Aristotle's writings. John of Seville also is credited with translating the Aims of the Philosophers. In 1134, he translated a version of Ptolemy's Almagest, and John of Seville was one of the first Europeans to use the term numbers to be diminished in the context of mathematics. And that was just his translated works. He also had original works of scholarship, one of which was in 1142, he wrote the Epitome Artis Astrologiae, which was a text meant to encapsulate the entire field of astronomy. I haven't read it, but I imagine that after reading his other list of accomplishments in this particular field, if it could be done, John of Seville would be the guy to do it. After a truly astonishing career, John of Seville again disappears from the historic record. He's believed to have died a couple of years after he retired in 1157, but that's a little unclear. People like John of Seville play an important role in terms of history. It's their work that actually allows for the study and preservation of history. Ideas and knowledge can only spread if they are accessible, and for that reason, translators and scribes play an immensely important role in spreading and preserving information. Without the careers of people like John of Seville, information discovered or preserved in their own time and place would never spread to the wider world. He made many texts previously or predominantly only available in Arabic accessible to Christian Europe and to non-Arabic speakers. For that reason, those living now owe a debt to the quiet, diligent intellectual lives of the translators and the scribes who cared enough to toil so that we might know the things that they valued and to see the world as they understood it, even though we're separated from them by hundreds of miles and hundreds of years. That is the power of writing, and that is the power of people like John of Seville. Thank you.